All right. We good? Yeah, all right. Good. The ladies are ready. All right. Welcome, everyone. And gentlemen. Sir. The gentlemen are here. Welcome, everyone. My name is Allison Matthews-Wilson. I am the Senior Director of Workforce and Clinical Policy at the Connecticut Hospital Association. I'm so pleased to welcome you all here. We're here to recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we're specifically talking today about raising awareness about all the protections that are available to newborns in the state of Connecticut, thanks to the Connecticut Safe Haven Newborn Act. And so we're going to start off today by having some folks get up and speak about their experiences and their belief in this amazing act. And we're going to start with Lieutenant Governor Susan Beiswitz.
Thank you so much. And I am just so delighted to be here. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for bringing us together. This is a really important program. Because for those women who find themselves in a situation where they deliver a baby and they cannot or they do not want to raise that baby, they may feel incredibly isolated and challenged and judged, and they may feel they have nowhere to turn. And that's where this program comes in, that it gives them an opportunity, an option for truly a safe haven. This was the brainchild of someone you're going to hear from, I think, a little later, one of our fabulous legislators and leaders who, along with legislative partners 25 years ago, saw the importance of a program like this one and brought it forward. And it's had an incredible impact, not just for the babies that have been adopted into forever homes and for the parents who were thrilled to have those children, but it's also a lifesaver for birth parents who just could not raise that child. And so I can't stress this enough. This program is life-saving. We've heard the heartbreaking stories of babies that have been abandoned in trash cans or other safe places, and that is just heartbreaking. And so in Connecticut, we chose to lead with compassion, and we chose to give people choices. And so this program recognizes that raising a child is a significant and life-changing decision, and it gives people the opportunity to navigate all those complex feelings that I just talked about, especially just after having given birth. And so again, I want to thank our Department of Children and Families and all the people who are here today for their work to establish and keep this life-saving program going. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. Next up, we're going to hear from the Department of Children and Families Commissioner, Ms. Susan Hamilton.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. All of our legislative partners, our hospital partners and staff that work in our hospitals, and all of those who have really helped not only raise awareness about this important law, but also help to elevate it over the course of the last 25 years. I was personally involved in some of the earlier legislation in 2000 and then again in 2010 when we made some significant improvements to the law to help to ensure safety not only for the parent and for the baby, but also anonymity, and to make it as easy as possible for a mom who was decided, making one of the most difficult choices that one could make in a time of crisis, to do the right thing. for her baby and to keep her baby safe. Since 2001, Connecticut has had approximately, I think, 59 babies that have been safely surrendered, and that is just a huge, and the numbers are growing. We actually just today, not today, but this in the month of April, again, a perfect opportunity in Child Abuse Prevention Month to highlight this, two additional in April. Two additional babies who were safely surrendered. And so again, just want to echo the sentiment. Takes a village. It really does take a village to help make this work. And you may hear a little bit more from some of the other speakers, but again, the premise of the legislation and the program is enabling a parent to safely surrender a baby within 30 days of birth, either at the hospital, if the baby is born there, or subsequent, to designated folks in the hospitals, and then that they can remain anonymous. They may be asked some questions as far as identification, but they are under no obligation to answer those questions. But upon notification, the department will then move forward with its efforts to ensure permanency and adoption for the baby. And so again, we know how hard that must be, and I truly have seen the impact not only on behalf of adoptive parents who have adopted safe haven babies, but also for the babies themselves. And so I do see it as a real gift that a parent chooses to give under very difficult circumstances when they are unable to care for the baby. We appreciate the media also being here to help elevate the awareness of this. We're always thinking about different ways to get the word out. And so having the media here today to cover this program is really terrific, and we really appreciate it. So again, thank you very much for the partnership, the continued focus on trying to provide safe ways for babies to be cared for, loved, and ultimately achieve permanency through adoption. So thank you very much for being here, and thanks again to all of you that are here with me today.
Thank you so much, Susan. Next up, we have Senator Cece Mard. She is the chair of the Children's Committee, and she's going to give a few words. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everything has already, there's been a lot said. One of the things I want to say is that in the safe haven law, what's important is when a parent feels they cannot keep their child and they go to the hospital, the people in the hospital who are trained to accept that baby also work with the parent. They work with the parent. Maybe the issue is around housing. Maybe the issue is around finance. Maybe the issue is around they just don't have diapers. This is, and I mean that seriously. Seriously, if you've had a baby and you've gone through 2 weeks with that baby with no diapers, this is not a joke. I really want to put a very strong point on this. So what we're looking at is the ways that we wrap services around a parent so that should they be able to take that child back out of the hospital with them, they can do that. And that is one of the tremendous benefits of this law. So I want that to get out into the press as well. There are people there to help you. In the instance that that help is not sufficient for what that parent needs, then thank God we put this bill in place. Now, this bill was put in place 25 years ago. And I know it's been changed and updated twice. But we are now at a time where we understand cultural competency, we understand needs of communities, we understand diversity in a way that we did not, even 10 years ago. And so I am very pleased to say that the Children's Committee, with the help of Representative McGee, has put out the bill that we are going to put a task force together to include all voices to make sure that we are the most culturally competent service provision for parents who want to leave, who have to leave their child, and that we are also making certain that we are there in ways that even right now perhaps we can't think about. So I'm very pleased that this bill came out of the Senate. It's going to the House, and I am just going to thank you all for being here and for getting the word out about how important safe surrender is.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to actually invite up Representative McGee to give a few words.
Thank you, everyone. It really truly is an honor to be here. When I think of a woman who decides to put her baby in a better situation, the one word that comes to mind is courage. When I think of someone who says, I may not be able to give this baby all that they need, however, they deserve that, I think of the word courage. When I think of a family who adopts a safe haven baby, I think of the word courage. And so this day today, as we honor and recognize the incredible work that has gone before us to secure this more equitable, like Senator C.C. Marr stated, a future for our families, what is vitally important is that we create community awareness conversations so that people are made aware of what the Safe Haven Act is and why it is important to our communities, how the vast differences in our communities really do truly have different needs. This became personal to me when my best friend adopted a baby who was surrendered right here in the state of Connecticut, and now he is a growing, prospering, smart, artistic boy. But through that process, we discussed some of the things and areas in which we can really improve this legislation to make sure that it reflects the voice and the concern and the needs of 2026. And so I really want to thank Pam and the incredible efforts of all of those who really trailblazed the path so that the Children's Committee, I also want to shout out the Housing the children's chair from the House, Representative Paris, who also saw this as a much needed topic that needs to be addressed. But as we trailblaze this path forward, I just want to remind everyone that the word courage is one that is not lost on me, as it takes a lot of bravery to be courageous. And I just thank everyone in this room, the Department of Children and Families, CHA, and all of the advocates who've come before us to really trailblaze a path of courage so that we can continue that courageous conversation forward and ensure a great future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we'll hear some words from Representative Acker.
Thank you, and thank you. It's great to join Lieutenant Governor Bicewicz, Commissioner. Thank you for the work that you do. Senator and Representative McGee, wonderful that you're doing this work. You know, I've been honored to serve with, at that time, my good friend Pam Sawyer, back when we were making some changes to this law, and she told me about it and the value of it and what it's done. And the Commissioner mentioned that 59 lives are now walking through Connecticut, or maybe someplace else. Hopefully they're staying in Connecticut. And just think about that. You know, and I think about, I was talking with in the Commissioner's office, Peter Yazbek, about marketing. You know, boy, oh boy. If we could do a little bit more marketing, as Representative McGee said, talk about it in your communities, talk about it at your neonatal appointments, at the hospitals. We have great signs, but maybe we need to do a little bit more. And think about if we invested a little bit more in marketing, how many more of those lives we would save. And so when you think about the value of those 60 lives, it's unmeasurable. So I'm here to suggest that we do a little bit more on getting the word out. We do good work in this building. We really do. But nobody knows about it at times. Here's one of the ones that we should spread the word. Maybe instead of saying how many people died on our state highways, we say how many young children were saved through this act and how to get in contact with individuals. I would love to see that, how many were saved rather than how many we lost on our highways. Whatever we could do to do this and spread the word, I think that's the value that we want to do and things that we want to promote. But thank you all for the great work that you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and be passing this off to my colleagues at some of our local hospitals who are going to speak about their experiences. And I just wanted to make sure that I set the stage to really express that, you know, Connecticut hospitals are uniquely positioned to be safe haven providers. And for more than 25 years, they've been providing 24/7 access for compassionate and expert care for both the infants and the parents, which really makes a difference. Hospital emergency departments, they're not only there to protect the newborn that comes in, but really to meet that surrendering parent if they so choose to participate with dignity and without judgment. And what I would share with you on a personal note is that 10 years ago, I actually took in a safe haven baby. I was working as part of a clinical team at Connecticut Children's and had this incredible experience. And and much like was said by those before me, the dignity with which that mother approached us, she gave as much as she felt like she could give in those moments. She knew that her baby was well cared for, and it really was an expression of love, and it was a gift to that child knowing that this was the best way she knew how to take care of her child, and it stays with me to this day. So again, I'm going to introduce my colleagues here from some of the Connecticut hospitals, but the Connecticut Hospital Association really is so supportive of the Children's Committee, who is looking to continuously explore opportunities to expand access for parents who feel like they have no choices. And I think, as was stated, it's so important that we do that upfront work, that we offer those wraparound services, that we consider every angle. Parenting is hard. And so we're so appreciative, and the Connecticut Hospital Association is so pleased to be here and be able to support this. So first up, I'm going to call a colleague and a friend, Connie Grant, who is the Associate Nursing Director and Senior Director of Clinical Services at Connecticut Children's.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. So as Allison mentioned, I'm the Associate Chief Nursing Officer at Connecticut Children's and Senior Director of Clinical Services. We are the only health system in the state of Connecticut that is 100% dedicated to caring for kids. We are the clinical experts that understand what it takes to have a healthy family and to grow healthy communities. At Connecticut Children's Emergency Department, our pediatric clinical team is committed to the children and families that we serve. We show up for them each and every day to provide immediate medical treatments for the infants, children, and adolescents facing acute injury and medical crisis. I'm honored to be here today as we celebrate Connecticut's Safe Haven Baby Law, which has helped prevent tragic outcomes and supported parents who are unable to care for their children. As many of the stories you've heard here today, I am a clinical emergency department nurse by background, and in each of the 3 emergency departments that I've had the privilege of serving patients and families, we have taken in a baby under this act. So I'm incredibly grateful and indebted to this act and what it has provided for our patients and families. We are trusted providers within our community to ensure that we have a safety net for our families and children. The emergency medicine perspective is that we are responsible not only for the immediate medical assessment and stabilization of newborns, but we are also there to ensure coordination with nursing staff, social work, child protective services, and community partners to ensure that there's a safe transition of care. These situations require careful clinical evaluation and trauma-informed communication. We have the unique experience of a multidisciplinary team within our emergency department. So whenever we do have to take in these children, and we have the privilege of taking in these babies, we have pediatric emergency physicians who ensure that these babies are medically stable and ready to transition to the next step. We have emergency medicine nurses who provide that clinical care and then also provide support to the families. We also have a wonderful division of clinical social work that provides some of that culturally competent care and make sure that we have wraparound services for our family. Connecticut Children's Emergency Department is always there for the kids and for the families who need us, and we are honored to play a role in the successful outcomes that have been supported by the Safe Haven Baby Law. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Connie. Next up, we're going to hear from Dr. Andrew Franco. He is an emergency medicine physician at St. Francis Hospital.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Andrew Franco. As mentioned, I'm an emergency physician at St. Francis Hospital. We are proud to support the Safe Haven Act. It speaks directly to our mission of supporting the most vulnerable patients in our community. If there is a mother who feels that she can't take care of her baby for whatever reason, we are trained and prepared to take care of the baby and mother without judgment, regardless of circumstances, and ensure that the baby is healthy, safe, and then connect with community resources. It is an extremely difficult decision, as mentioned already, to use the Safe Haven Act. But the nurses and doctors at St. Francis Emergency Department are prepared, no matter the circumstances, to treat all comers without judgment. This act saves lives, and we are proud to be part of the Safe Haven. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we're going to hear from Melissa Pinto. She is the lead social worker for pediatrics and women's services at Yale New Haven Children's Hospital.
Good morning, everyone. As it was mentioned, I'm the lead social worker for pediatric and women's services at Yale New Haven Hospital. So my experience with the Safe Haven Act is a little bit different than our traditional experience since I work on the inpatient side of things. We typically meet with families anywhere from on the birthing unit to the inpatient floor on the pediatric side and are able to educate them on Safe Haven Act if they are questioning their ability to parent their child in the postpartum period. So we are very honored to be able to speak with those families, whether it's, as mentioned before, connecting them to resources that will support them in parenting, or educating them on Safe Haven or other resources that might be best suited for them. I actually have personal experience with recently having a Safe Haven baby and was able to see that through from the parent delivering all the way through to the baby being discharged to their pre-adoptive home. So it is an honor to be able to educate families and support them through this process. So thank you all for having me here today. Good job.
All right, thank you so much. I think next up we're going to hear from Pam Sawyer. Thank you.
It took a team to get this passed in 2000, and it's taken advocates to change the law, fix the law, improve the law. One of the things we know is that people age out of the need to know what this law is. We created it so it would be so simple it could be shared on a school bus. Not necessarily for the person that knows what it is, but they may know of someone who is in trouble. We know that it doesn't have to be the parent that brings the baby in. It could be someone, a relative, or an advocate for the baby. And at the time that the baby is brought in, they are able to receive a matching wristband. So within 30 days after, there's a possibility, if they can, to be reunified, and that takes DCF, and it takes other work to put this reunification back together if it's appropriate. But what we are proud to say is some of these babies are now in their 20s. That's a very exciting thing to share. You know, it's a simple law. We created it. There are 50 states that have it, and the territories as well. But Connecticut is one of the most simple. And it says if you cannot care for your newborn under 30 days of age, take it to an emergency room, and you will have anonymity, and you will not be prosecuted. So it saves 2 lives at the same time. We know, too, that we have people in this room who have been here from almost the beginning, who have been here through working groups, people who have been brainstorming how to get it on to the next level. And one of those people, he's not here right now, but that was Representative Jeff Curry, and he advocated with us, and we found a way, and we put it into the law that it's supposed to be taught in the high schools. Because we know that in, say, wonderful locations like Danbury, there are 111 different languages spoken. So 2 posters aren't enough to share the word. So we thought it was best to go to where the young people are and have them be the advocates as well. So we're going to go reach out to the State Department of Education and work on the next level of push to get through to these schools, because it's an ongoing process. So it's a unifying a wonderful public policy with people in need. It's unifying the Connecticut Hospital Association and DCF and their powerful work that they do to make it happen. But it's unifying you in the press that share the word with those who need it. And that's the 3-legged stool that makes this work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Next up, we're going to hear from Lori Stewart with the Connecticut Catholic Conference.
And I'm a little embarrassed because everyone seemed to have spontaneous remarks, and I need to use my notes, so just work with me here. First of all, I want to celebrate 59 babies and counting. And so I'm just so pleased to be here, elated to be here with all of you, celebrating and having cause to celebrate. My name is Lori Stewart, and I'm a legislative liaison for the Connecticut Catholic Public Affairs Conference. I am also a young woman who, well, relatively young woman, who was raised in the Bowles Park Housing Project in the north end of Hartford. I was also a tutor at Weaver High School, an inner city high school, through the Educational Main Street program. And at one point, I was an interim director for the Shiro Project, a self-esteem and empowerment building program in Chappelle Gardens Housing Project, also in the north end of Hartford. I don't mention that to bore you with a curriculum vitae, not at all, but to explain why I'm invested in this bill and what it means to me, and why, after being introduced by my predecessors at the Connecticut Catholic Conference to Pam Sawyer over a decade ago, I've been committed, along with the Connecticut Catholic Conference, to this bill and supporting it. In my neighborhood, I was a peer and a confidant for young black and brown girls who looked just like me, hung out with me, played double dutch with me, stepped in marching patrol alongside me, and some of whom had unexpected pregnancies, emotional crises, and the fundamentally life-changing uncertainty. I also, because I'm a little diverse, was at boarding school for high school. And at my boarding school, there were different faces, different colors, different socioeconomic backgrounds. And sometimes, despite those students riding horses with me, singing harmony in choir behind me, some of them also were faced with the very same fundamentally life-altering uncertainty. So as an adult, and in my role as a legislative liaison, it is these stories, these memories, these secrets, told and untold, from my upbringing, as well as from my life's journey, that bring me here to support this act. The Connecticut Catholic Conference has been supportive of this act from its nascent stages, but especially since 2015. And as some of the others have talked about, there have been iterations in the bill over that time. Between the enactment of the law and 2014, there were 6 abandoned baby cases. 4 of those infants survived, and 2 tragically did not. And so part of what happened in revisions in the law was that in 2015, the legislation passed a Safe Havens Annual Day. April 4th is that recognized annual day here in the state of Connecticut. And that's to make sure, or for the sole purpose of ensuring that awareness was publicized and that people got the information. And so the Connecticut Catholic Conference from that time forward has partnered with and collaborated with and actively joined in helping to get that word out, however and whatever it takes. The other thing, well, one of the things about this bill that is so noteworthy is that we see its value. We're at 59, right? 59 to 60. I thought 60, but I didn't want to change the numbers because someone else up here said earlier. So 60 numbers and counting, something to celebrate. And this bill inserts a life-affirming option in the middle of angst and fundamentally life-altering uncertainty. And as I get ready to close, what I would like to say is that one of the things that has impressed me about this bill is its bipartisan support. In its early stages, there were people who fought, but they overcame those differences, worked together, found points of commonality, and pushed it forward. And so I say that I hope to see all of us continuing to work together and collaborating with other new partners and new stakeholders to continue to push this information forward. And in that vein, I'd like to suggest perhaps that we do an active social media campaign, hashtag, keyword, that type of thing. We have social media at our disposal in this day and age. And as some of the others spoke about, We're at 2026 now, so there's new changes that will need to occur with the bill to make it timely. In addition to that, I'd like to suggest that we reach out to Latino and Black health collectives in local communities, and also our bilingual media and press, to make sure they're invited and included, especially and specifically, so that the word can get out to those people who may, not necessarily that they have to, but they may need to know it more than some other communities. And I guess I'll close with saying that the Connecticut Catholic Conference is committed to continuing to participate in and support all of the work that we've been doing as stakeholders for over a decade now. And let's celebrate 60 lives. Thank you all.
That was wonderful. Last but certainly not least, we're going to invite up Doug Hood, who is a lecturer in neurology from Yale University. Retired. Come on up.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. In the winter of 2007, a 16-year-old daughter of Southeast Asian refugees had an unexpected pregnancy. With the duress of a cultural taboo, she hid the pregnancy. Eventually, after a panicked delivery in a bathroom, the baby drowned in the toilet. The teen was charged with murder and sentenced to 18 years. A team of lawyers, including Pam Sawyer, objected to this apparent injustice, petitioned for clemency. She won, and she was released after spending 10 years behind bars. Now she and her partner live a quiet life with her 7-year-old daughter. Part of the process in proving her disproportionate sentence involved finding other cases of neonaticide. That's the term for killing the baby in the first 24 hours, usually by a mother. The cases were hard to find because they are rarely reported. Names are not released, and there is no statute for that particular crime. Despite that, about 13 more cases in Connecticut were discovered. The women, many of them teens, served anywhere from no prison to 18 years, with an average of 3.5 years. The disparity is largely due to the limited evidence and the wide latitude of the investigators, the prosecutors, and the judges. We know there are more, very likely many. All of the young women went on to lead untroubled lives and had more children. They are not criminals. If they had known about Safe Haven in their moment of crisis, they would have had an easy path to avoid their tragedy. But none of the 13 had heard of the law. Such a simple solution to a devastating problem. The task became getting the word to this population. 3 of the girls walked around their schools 9 months pregnant and were never questioned. One was 14. In 2017, a Connecticut bill added Safe Haven law to the required public school health program. In addition, teachers are informed. Schools take a sensitive, proactive role, thanks to our teen who was ignored and served 10 years. Several of us here are highly attuned to the new neonaticide cases and to Safe Haven successes. The numbers tell us clearly that the new Safe Haven law is working. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that Doug is a published author and wrote a book, The Daughter of Song, about that particular case, and it is very impactful. His research is very deep and very thorough and very easy to understand. Thank you, Doug.
I think that concludes our press conference. We appreciate you all being here. I'm not sure if there's any follow-ups from anyone. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yes.